What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Hoops here, and as we all know, the draft lottery was yesterday where we finally saw the final draft order, which was pretty insane. Being a huge Knicks fan myself, it was rough seeing the draft lottery results, and to all the Pistons, Hawks, Cavs, and most importantly Knicks fans out there, I am truly sorry and completely understand your pain. However, not all hope is lost because there are still a good amount of quality players outside the top tier prospects in this draft class. With the Timberwolves jumping ahead of the Warriors and the Hornets and Bulls leaping into the top 4, it is going to shake up the draft, so let's get right into the official Clutch Hoops Mock Draft 3.0. With the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Anthony Edwards. As tempting as a prospect Lamelo would be for the Timberwolves, they really can't afford to take another ball-dominant player who has not shown any sort of effort on the defensive side of the ball. Anthony Edwards, on the other hand, is a 6'5 shooting guard who has all the tools to be a lockdown defender and top-tier scorer in the NBA. He is one of the most athletic guards the NBA has ever seen coming out of the draft in a long time and can score at all 3 levels. At Georgia this past season, Anthony scored 19 points per game but had all the defensive attention on him in every single game. His supporting cast was so bad that teams were literally playing a box-and-one on him. The Timberwolves get a player who can help out their atrocious defense, as their defensive rating was the second worst in the NBA last season, post All-Star break. Anthony Edwards was able to put up great numbers next to a very ball-dominant point guard at Georgia and all the defensive attention, so next to Cat and D'Lo, Anthony Edwards would not see nearly as much defensive attention and be much better off. This seems like a dream pairing for both sides, however, don't be surprised if the Timberwolves try to use this pick in a potential blockbuster trade. With the second overall pick, the Warriors select James Wiseman. Now, I am not a very big fan of Wiseman at all and don't see his superstar potential at all. However, if Edwards is off the board and the Warriors don't trade the pick, there is absolutely no way they pick anyone other than James Wiseman. Now, I don't think Wiseman is as good as a prospect as some say he is, but his fit on the Warriors is the most perfect pairing in the entire draft. Golden State's biggest weakness when fully healthy is the lack of length on the interior, as they don't really have a big body to crash the boards and block shots. James Wiseman gives them just that, and if he can polish some things up on the offensive side of the ball, then he will be a menace in the pick and roll game. The Warriors' developmental coaches are incredible, as seen by Eric Pascal this past season, so if anyone can get the potential out of Wiseman, it's really the Warriors. With the third overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Lamelo Ball. The Hornets have a glaring hole at the center position. However, there is no way that they pass on a talent as good as Lamelo Ball. The Hornets are still a good 3 to 4 seasons away from becoming a contender and need to be patient and build from the ground up. Terry Rozier does not look like a long-term solution in the backcourt, and Devontae Graham seems like the only guard that will be with the Hornets for the next 5 years or so. Lamelo Ball is the most talented player in this draft class, and the Hornets cannot afford to pass on him. He will come into the NBA as an elite playmaker and will immensely increase the energy for this underwhelming franchise. Lamelo's big question mark is his shooting abilities, but he will be playing next to Devontae Graham, who shot 37% from three-point range, PJ Washington, who shot 37% as well, and Miles Bridges, who shot 33%. The Hornets would now have one of the best and most talented young backcourts in the entire NBA, and a very talented nucleus of young players surrounding them. Now, with the fourth overall pick, the Bulls select Deni Avdija. Even though the 2 guards are off the board, the Bulls still have the chance to select Deni Avdija, who has solidified himself towards the top of the lottery in the past few months. His Israeli team, with notable former NBA players like Quincy Acey and Amari Stoudemire, won the Israeli League, and personally, Deni had some great performances. Deni struggled to get on the floor to begin the season and ended as one of the best players on the team, playing about 30 minutes a game. This incredible improvement for the 19-year-old is very promising for NBA teams and shows he still has a lot of room to grow. Deni fits the Bulls' need at the small forward position and gives them a much needed playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. Deni has one of the highest floors in the entire draft, and the fact that we have seen so much improvement by Deni this year makes him a much more enticing prospect. Deni will be a great fit next to the wet Bulls shooters like Kobe White, Zach LaVine, and Lauri Markkanen, so this would be a great landing spot for him. With the 5th pick, the Cavs select Onyeka Okongwu. The Cavaliers secured their backcourt with their past 2 picks in the draft lottery in Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, but need to decide whether to push for the playoffs or build through the draft. With Andre Drummond and Kevin Love as the group star players, the Cavs need to tear everything down instead of cheating the process of getting to the championship. Onyeka is the best interior defender in the draft and had a plus-minus of 14 which is historically good, especially being on a 22-9 USC team. On top of this, Onyeka will thrive in the pick and roll game with his strength, power, hands, and athleticism at the next level. One thing that no one really talks about enough is Onyeka shoots free throws at 75%, which shows that there is some serious potential for him to be able to stretch his range out to the 3-point line. With this pick, the Cavs add a defensive monster to hold down the paint, who will make a huge positive impact when on the floor. With the 6th overall pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Isaac Okoro. The Hawks are in a position where they have the ability to be patient and take on a project like Isaac Okoro. Isaac's athleticism paired with his incredible defensive instincts will immediately make him a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. The part of his game that is still a question is his ability to shoot, which will be a big determining factor on whether he's an all-star or a role player. A lot of people are comparing him to Jimmy Butler when he entered the NBA, which brings a lot of optimism to his name. This is a very risky pick, but the Hawks are in a position to take on a risk like Okoro. With the 7th overall pick, the Detroit Pistons select Killian Hayes. The 6'5" French point guard who is currently playing in Germany has one of the best offensive games in the entire draft. Hayes is one of my favorite prospects in this draft class because he is a pick and roll master. He will make every single right read when facilitating with his left hand, and he is 18 years old playing professional basketball in Germany, where he averages 13 points and 6 assists in 26 minutes per game. Killian has some minor weaknesses like his weak frame and inability to protect the ball at times, but his main struggle is his right hand. He rarely attacks the rim with his right hand and will settle way too often, even if there is an open lane. Killian's weaknesses are very fixable with good coaching and strength training, which is one of the reasons why I love Killian so much as a prospect. The Pistons have been looking for their franchise point guard for a long time, and Killian is the no-brainer pick here. Pistons fans, you got a good one. With the 8th pick, the New York Knicks select Kira Lewis Jr. The Knicks are the true losers in the draft lottery because they not only move down, but 2 teams move ahead of them who are in the market for a point guard. Trading down or trading up may be the option at this point, but Kira Lewis Jr. is still a very special prospect. Kira was a solid player last year at Alabama, but this year he's been able to average 18.5 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 37 minutes per game. He shoots the 3 ball at 36% and has all the fundamentals to be a great shooter. This is huge for the Knicks because as we saw last year, they need to surround RJ with as many shooters as possible. The biggest bright side about Kira is that he has elite speed and uses it to get to the rim with ease. The biggest question mark about Kira's game is his passing abilities, but playing next to RJ, who's a playmaker, is a great fit for him. This may not be the point guard the Knicks wanted, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise. With the 9th pick, the Washington Wizards select Tyrese Halliburton. John Wall is coming off of 2 major leg injuries that will significantly hinder his athleticism, which was his elite skill. If we're being real, long-term, John Wall is not the point guard that will lead the Wizards to a championship. However, the Wizards have the chance to get Halliburton to take over the point guard position for the future. Halliburton will be able to facilitate the offense for this Wizards team and create shots for Bradley Beal. Tyrese will add a much-needed defensive anchor to this putrid defensive team as well. Tyrese has seen his stock slide significantly all after his wrist injury, even though he was having one of the best seasons in all of college basketball. The Wizards kinda get a value pick here, and he fits their team pretty well. With the 10th pick, the Phoenix Suns select Obi Toppin. The Suns have been looking for their future power forward and get so lucky that Obi Toppin fell to them at 10. Obi is a 22-year-old sophomore at Dayton who has shown that he can rebound, block shots, and make 3-pointers at a very effective rate. These 3 qualities are very important in today's NBA, and I haven't even mentioned his relentless motor, effective postgame, and pick-and-roll game. He has been dominating on the offensive end in college, and his game translates to the NBA better than any other prospect in the entire draft. The Suns are in win-now mode, and Obi will make an impact in the NBA immediately, which is exactly what the Suns need. The offensive firepower that the Suns will have with Devin Booker, Obi Toppin, and DeAndre Ayton will be very fun to watch. However, will it contribute to winning? I don't know. With the 11th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Patrick Williams. The forward out of Florida State has seen his stock skyrocket recently due to his physical intangibles. He's a 6'8", 225-pound forward who has shown the potential to shoot the ball very well and be a great defender. Patrick has been a very streaky player at Florida State this past season, but if anyone can get the untapped potential out of this very young man, it's the Spurs. Patrick Williams is the perfect player for the Spurs, knowing how good their player development is, so if he goes to the Spurs, keep your eye on him. With the 12th pick, the Kings select Tyrese Maxey. The Kings need to find any sort of talent they can, and Tyrese Maxey has all the talent in the world, but has been very streaky in college. He has shown glimpses of his star potential, but there is a lot of uncertainty about his game. He's one of the biggest hit-or-miss prospects in the entire draft, and the Kings need to hit big on their draft pick this year, or they're going to be stuck in the cycle of mediocrity that no team wants to be in. With the 13th pick, the Pelicans select Devin Vassell. The Pelicans need shooting around Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and Zion, which is exactly what Devin Vassell will do. Vassell is a 6'7" guard who made 42% of his three-point shots this season at Florida State, and he will step into the NBA as a 3-and-D player immediately and will space the floor for Zion and Brandon Ingram. Devin will add shooting and defense to this Pelicans team, which is one of their only needs right now. With the 14th pick, the Celtics select Aleksej Pokusevski. The Celtics don't really need anything right now, so why not take a shot on one of the riskiest prospects in the entire draft? Alec is a 7-footer who can shoot, drive to the rim, and pass the ball very well. There are huge concerns about his work ethic and weight, which will be huge factors in whether Alec will be a hit or a miss. Alec will need some time in the G League to develop as he's a project and a half, but you don't see many 7-footers with his athletic abilities and pure skills. Tell me what you guys thought of these picks, and also tell me what you guys thought of the draft lottery last night. Also, tell me if you agree with who your favorite team picked in this mock draft, and like or comment if you want me to do more mock drafts with trades and maybe even do a full 60-player mock draft. Tell me down below. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm out, and peace!